Our guest today is Brandon T. Jackson. You might know him as an actor, stand-up comedian from Percy Jackson, Tropic Thunder, Big Mama's House 2, and he's actually got a new project, The Family Business New Orleans. How you doing, Brandon?
I am great, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm sorry. I know you're back dealing with the fires in California.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm so sad. All these families lost their houses, and I mean, now is at the point where the air quality is just horrible. I mean, it's bad, bro. And so I'm just we trucking through. We had to cancel our premiere. I'm still happy we got the press still going on with some of the things we're doing because I mean now we're kind of just sitting around. A lot of things got canceled, so we're just a lot of people are standing in solidarity for a lot of executives lost their houses, a lot of actors lost their houses, a lot of people in the industry lost their houses. So it's like to go back and do a lot of stuff. Everyone's kind of standing still and trying to uh, you know regroup and let the dust settle. No pun intended, but really let the dust settle and then trying to figure out where do we go from here. And it's bad.
Now, you wrap a show like the one you just did, which was I believe was a follow-up to another show, Family Business, which ran for 5 seasons. What's it like
Yes.
following up a show that has such a history?
Well, Family Business is still running, and now they're spinning off hours because I mean, like I did with Percy Jackson. This is a book series originally. I mean, it's like I didn't even know it until I started getting into all the books. It's like another let's say it's like a cult following, like Twilight. It's this underground. Carl Weber is a New York Times bestseller, and I mean he's been having these books out for almost 20 years, and there's a following on these books that's been going around. And when you get into the books, stories are literally the books and the TV shows are all seamless in one family. So there's this cult following. So it's really cool to see the main one that has going on season 6. Now we're going on Family Business season 2. We're season 1 now, but we'll be going into season 2, and how everyone is really following these stories of these characters. It's a cult following, man. You can't even, bro. It's really it's a lot.
Now, like Percy's, it's a book series, so you have some super fans who are really into it. I mean, have you had to deal with some of that yet?
Yeah, there are some super fans with this. It's really it's like a lot of female base, a lot of females. They know the books like the back of their hands. If you really get into the Carl Weber universe, we call it the Weberverse. It really reaches out to the female base, and they get really attached to these characters all around. So
Now, did you shoot this in New Orleans?
yeah, we shot this in New Orleans, definitely. Yep, we wanted to give the city that vibe of I mean the show the we couldn't fake you can't fake the vibe of New Orleans. You just can't. You got to be there. So it was one of those things where we we wanted to really make sure that the city was a character too, kind of like Miami. If you look at Bad Boys, Miami is a character.
Now, the hard thing I think for actors is it's a nomadic life kind of. You got a family, and then they say, okay, for 2-3 months, you're going to head here. You don't know where you're living. You don't know where you're staying. You don't know where you're getting your groceries. I mean, how long does it take for you to get your bearings when you do that?
My wife loves it. I'm out the house. uh, it's actually just I've been doing this for 20 years. So I mean, I would have it no other way. If I was in construction or even business or real estate or certain other things, I would be traveling anyway. So I think that my whole life and career is going to be around traveling anyways. So and whether it's stand up comedy, um, um, real estate business, traveling is something that yeah something that I love to do anyway. So the nomadic lifestyle is I would have I'm ready to get out of California, to be honest, right now. So I would have it no other way. It's really I like to move around. I've always been like that.
It's a tough time there now, but as a fellow stand-up, I can tell you, when people always ask you, oh, well, how can stand-ups become actors? I said, listen, when you're on that stage alone and things are blowing up around you, you get pretty good at figuring things out.
You know what? Stand-ups usually some of the best actors. I mean, it's stage plays. It's a one man show. You know, if you're doing it right, it's a one man show. It's you and that audience, and you're writing. And shout out to my comedy special that's gonna be coming out next. Since you're a comedian, it's called Chest Out. We're looking at some nice platforms that I think is gonna be. We probably can circle back and go ahead and hopefully get the right place to put it. I independently shot it. It was looking like it's going to go to the right places. So it's a blessing.
Now, I've talked to a lot of stand-ups, and it's pretty cool to be able to do that because, I love to see fellow stand-ups, take off and go where they need to go. I always wonder when we talk about this stuff when they say it's my new hour special. And I know it takes a long time to put the material together, and you got to work it out and you got to test it. How long did you test drive it before you go, okay, now it's ready for the special?
This one was cooking in the oven for 7 years, and I just said, you know what? But some of the material was new and some of it was old. The training of building material was 14 years in the making, and the 7 years where I really went hard on my stand-up game was 7 years in the making. So what I would say is, like they say, this certain material, I actually wrote it. I didn't get a chance to tour it like I wanted to, but because I was so skilled at knowing how to execute it because of my role, it's like it was almost like I had all this other material that I was doing that prepared me, and then when it was time to create like this other the bulk of what my story was how I left on a break from Hollywood, went on a spiritual journey, ended up into I would say into a cult leader. Not me, but I ended up with the cult leader, and I kind of making fun of that story that happened to me in real life. I was able to deal with it and the trauma and with comedy. So it's a very strong story about how I left Hollywood to go find a spiritual awakening and spiritual journey, and then how it kind of turned to this crazy thing that I got caught up into. So it's actually it's really funny, and I couldn't have wrote it. God wrote that story. Couldn't have wrote it.
It's amazing how stand-ups write. We take the worst things in our lives and go forward. I mean, I remember Richard Pryor's bit on setting himself on fire. And, it's so painful, but it's hysterical at the same time, because it's absurd. You're going, you can't imagine Richard Pryor running down the street on fire, but that's just the way that works sometimes. So.
But then when you, it's not funny, but when he says it back, you're like that was crazy, So everything, the things we go through, that it makes our material for us. And I don't encourage anybody to that's the thing about living life and finding art in the stand-up world. Those first two usually are the best because you go through so much.
Now, you have a history, you come from a family of pastors, and you go on this spiritual journey, and you wind up with, I don't know anything about this. It's the first time I've heard of it. You wind up...
Akmak Badak is what I call him in the special. Akmak Badak, the spiritual leader.
And I'm sure your family's like going, what's going on with this? This can't be right. I mean, how do you, when you're going through it, it seems normal. And when you're out, do you have that discussion with your family and say, listen, I just got lost. I mean, I can't explain it.
I had to put it in comedy form. There's no explaining it. You want to explain it? Watch this on this platform. Hopefully Netflix. I mean, I don't want to show any other platforms, but I think Netflix is definitely Netflix special.
I know. I think it's always Netflix or Amazon is where you got to go with these.
Yeah, I mean the quality and the quality of the material. I had a very famous director and family actually gave me the thumbs up.
Well, let me ask you, because I'm also an attorney. I got to do a lot of cool things on top of hosting the show and everything. And I guess I always wonder about these long-term contracts. You sign up, they go, hey, listen, you get Percy Jackson, but you're going to have, it's a 3-movie contract. It's this long, and you have to be available, and there's no guarantee it's going to be made. I mean, what's it like going through that, hoping they make the third one or something like that?
Just do other stuff because they don't hold you up like that. It's called first position, second position. They don't hold you where you can't do it. The way the contracts work is if something else come up, then if they're not shooting, then then you're able to shoot something else. Excuse me. It's called first position, second position. So at that time, Percy Jackson had first position. So, um, yeah, and I forgot how they did it, but Fox will have a thing where it's like, okay, if we're doing Big Mamas, you can't do like the lawyers, they handle all that. So you just know you got work. It means like having a big series, but you just scheduled out. You know what I mean? To do it whenever they say they're ready to do another one.
Well, I know actors have teams. They have managers, agents, lawyers. I mean, does somebody tell you at the end of it, all right, let me explain what you're signing here, or did they go just sign and we'll explain it to you later?
No, they don't explain it at all, and they give you the contract at the last minute and go sign. I'm like, bro, I got to read this. They do skim over it. I can't lie. No, my bad. Going back, they do skim over it, and they say it's good to sign. But I'm like, most of these contracts are standard and the industry. So what I do, I kind of study the standard contracts and see what everything it says. Talent contracts.
One of the questions I always wonder is when you get a tour with a high-end comic, do you get something from it? I mean, you have to feel like, oh, yeah, I liked watching his rhythm. I mean, you were at the Laugh Factory. You've seen a lot of great comedians. Which comedian do you think you watch and you go, man, that guy's got it. I wish I could be like that.
I studied Eddie and Richard, and no one's really doing that style anymore because you got to have an attention. The crowd has to have an attention span for that. And I think that Martin, Eddie, Richard is a dying style because now if you look at Andrew Schultz, he's kind of a riffer, and you look at some other comics is just doing crowd work. I don't see anybody doing that style. Even Cat Williams, as hilarious as he is, he's not doing that style. Kevin Hart was actually the only one doing that style, and it's a tough style to do in this time because, and when I say style, I say storytelling act outs is not being like even Tony Baker. Tony Baker's so hilarious. Love watching him. I'm trying to think of all the comedians that I look at and go, they're hilarious. No one's doing that style. That's a tough style to do. So I don't see anybody to me right now in my generation right now as we speak that's doing that style and that can touch me in that style. Now when you talk about punch acting, punch comics. Oh, I got it. Punch comics. I know a bunch of them that can kill me punching. With punchlines. Yeah, that I can look at it and say yeah. Like Cat Williams, the beast punch comic. He has the right lines to say. I'm not a punch comic. I'm an actor, comedian, which I act out the actual scenes on stage like Richard would do. He was acting on stage. If you really go watch Richard back, when he did the dog, he did the when the dog would say, him and the dog in the fence. She's doing a character. She's doing two characters. No one's doing that style. And that's why I love that style so much because it's so rare now. And only people don't even understand how rare that style is.
Yeah, people don't realize how hard it is to do that. Anybody can do, I'm not saying anybody, but you can do a 3 to 5 minute bit. But when you hit 10, 20, that's when this is like, you're doing a serious show.
Yeah, I got one bit that's my last bit talking about. It's about 10 minutes and one story with different characters. Like I'm popping into characters. I pop into like probably 10 different characters in that. That's what I'm saying. No one's doing that. Kevin Hart was the last one to do that type of style.
I saw Marlon Wayans, and I got to interview him the other day, and he did a bit that lasted 30 minutes.
Marlon is doing that type of style. Actually, Marlon is too.
Yeah, 30 minutes he went off on one bit. And I was like, man, he held the audience for 30 minutes. And I talked to him afterwards, and I was going, man, that's hard. He goes, yeah, I know. I had to decide if I wanted to go that far. And the risks you take on stage and the bits you do, when you're trying to figure this out, that's why when I asked you originally about how long it takes you to put a set together, you can love something and realize it's not hitting.
Mm-hmm. For me, how long does it take? It takes me about, I can't say because it's the more I've toured, the more I know what I have a pulse. on what I feel like I was doing all this stuff about a lot of ranting on how I feel about things, and it's good. But then I started talking about trauma, and I was like, oh, this is better. When I started talking about like I'm working on a bit now, because I don't like when people. I have people that are judgment. I'm a Pisces, so we're very sensitive to certain things, and I've had people judgmental on me in certain aspects of my life, and they're doing the same thing I'm doing while they're judging me on it. Like sometimes I'll have a drink, and someone's like, you shouldn't drink because such and such," but they're having a drink with me while I'm drinking. And the hypocrisy of it for me, I was watching, like I had these conversations because comics, we're in the club, we're having a good time, we chilling, and working on this bit, give me the wine but not the spirits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the name of it. So I have three different spirits that comes to you after you get a little tipsy. And then right now I'm still working on it. Like you got it's just like the spirit of a guy. You get a little tipsy. One spirit to tell you, hey, go hit that guy real quick. No, it's okay. Don't worry. And I was like, so these are characters that you're hopping in three different people. I've been working on it. I just thought about it 2 days ago. I'm like, okay, let me jot that down. Then I'll go try it. If it works, cool. Then I'll expand on it. You know, but that's a running tree.
Yeah, that's harder than people don't realize how hard it is when you're doing like 2, 3 characters at the same time, maybe 4, and trying to
Yeah,
differentiate and make sure it's funny. So yeah, I get how hard that is.
yeah. I'll keep it to three spirits with that one. Probably the one that's like, the sexual guy, the angry drunk, and there's probably one other drunk, the sloppy drunk or something like that.
All
You
right.
know.
Well, Brandon, I can't tell you how cool this was. I'm looking forward to seeing your show and stay safe and try to breathe better. I know things are tough in California.
Yeah, it's horrible, bro. Actually, I'm literally feeling it right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I should turn this ventilation off because it's coming through the vents. But yeah, it's bad, bro.
All right.
It's bad.
Well, you take care, my friend. Look forward to talking to you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you so much. You too.